back in the saddle and time to chat. It's the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to head over to YouTube and hit that bell so you get notified whenever new episodes go live, or subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Tell a friend, tell two. Today, we're talking about the US title and what can be done to make it mean something again. I feel like WWE is constantly trying to put some shine on the US title. When they gave it to John Cena so many years ago and he introduced the Open Challenge, I think that was a fantastic idea to kind of give it a bit of relevance. You know, you strapped it on the main guy and he treated it like it was the world title. But then he gave it a little caveat with like, hey, every time I come out here, someone has the shot. Someone could come out here and try and take this title from me. And it made the title relevant. People who would not normally get a title shot were, allowed to come out and take on John Cena. It's a big deal. You take on John Cena on what, Raw, SmackDown? I can't remember what show he was doing it on. I'm pretty sure it was SmackDown. And compete for this US title. And he put them over. He would pin them, but he'd put them over. And it just went on like that. But I have to be honest with you. Post John Cena Open Challenge, I don't know anything about the US title up until maybe a year ago when Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Austin Theory were all competing for the title. They put more relevance on it. Bobby Lashley, at that time, the US title was the biggest title on Raw because Roman had collected all the heavyweight titles and he left to SmackDown. So in an attempt to give Raw a champion and have some, title matches on the show, Triple H decreed that the US title was the main title of the Raw brand. So you had people, former champions, fighting for this belt, and Austin Theory. So they had their battles, and Bobby Lashley, honestly, he did carry that belt really well. He gave it some relevance, but there's still something missing from the title. And I think that's exactly why they moved it over to SmackDown and then introduced the new heavyweight championship that Seth Rollins is carrying. But the more I see the US title, and for context, right now, as of this recording, Rey Mysterio is the new US champion, having pinned Austin Theory a couple weeks back and then beating him again for the title at Payback. And Rey has, as of this recording, Rey didn't show up to SmackDown, as far as I remember. He probably has a night off. So that means the US title didn't show up. And I don't think anyone cared. I don't think anyone was looking for that belt. The US title has issues. I think one is the design. Just like the tag team titles, the US title does not feel cohesive with the other titles. That being said, they all kind of feel kind of floaty and all over the place. The new World Heavyweight title that Seth and Rhea Ripley are carrying, I think, are great. They serve their purpose. I think the belt that Roman has, the golden, I was going to call it a throwback. It's not even that old. But the golden giant W belt is fine. I prefer the black one. Should have just kept that one. But that design is fine. But again, they do not mesh together, the two heavyweight titles. And that might be fine. But if you're going to do something like that, every title on either show has to look like it belongs on that show. So if you're going with the giant shielded big W belts on SmackDown and then the World Heavyweight Championship belts on Raw, every subsequent belt should kind of fit within like a theme. They're not going to change the IC title, so Raw, but it doesn't look too dissimilar from the Raw Heavyweight Championship. It kind of does, but not really. They're both just big and gold. That's fine. But if you're going to have that aesthetic on SmackDown, you have to elevate the US title to kind of fit within that. It does have the sort of shielded thing going on, but it has that gaudy US flag in the back, and it's just called the US title. It doesn't have like a long, illustrious name. Even Dominic's North American Championship, it's called the North American Championship. It's long, has some breath to it. Either call the thing the United States Championship at all times, or call it the United States Heavyweight Championship or something. Give it some class and change the design of that belt. Update it. It's been that same way for a while, and it's never been good, and I don't think it's ever caught on. It doesn't feel, if it looks like a toy. If you look at that belt compared to the other titles, it looks like a toy. They need to elevate that title's look and feel, and that's just coming from the designer in me. Please update that belt and the tag team titles. You can't call them tag team gold, and they're both silver. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Next, you have to do something with that title that gives it some relevance. Now, I had a conversation during my fun wrestling weekend with my brother, and I came up with this idea. I didn't come up with anything, actually. I just kind of repurposed an idea I saw, but I think it would work for the US title. So, the same way that WWE put on the World Cup Classic or whatever it was called, where Ricochet ultimately won the trophy, I guess. I wonder if he got to keep that trophy, or a version of it. Maybe they gave him a little tiny one. They had a tournament, and at the end of the tournament, it was a very good weekly tournament that kept people invested, like, ooh, who's going to win this, shot at the IC title? And at the end, Ricochet was crowned the winner. He was given the trophy. He was shown this giant trophy, and then he was able to wrestle Gunther for the IC title, who, squashed him and then has gone on to become the longest reigning IC title holder of all time. We'll do another episode about that. Why not do something with the US title in that vein, where you have the title holder, or you can have the same kind of tournament, the United States Heavyweight Championship Open Tournament, whatever you want to call it. And then you have a weekly bracket of all these wrestlers who can potentially hold the title. You want to throw LA Knight in there? Go for it. You want to have Rey Mysterio? Fine. Austin Theory gets to be in the first bracket and then ultimately lose? Great. Santos Escobar gets in there? Perfect. And then you just have these, great talents go at it for weeks, right? Maybe it's a month-long talent. And then at the end, you culminate it at a pay-per-view where the championship is crowned. The champion is crowned. Handed the new U.S. title. They're the new United States Heavyweight Champion, right? Then you give them like a week off or something. And then you start the tournament over for the number one contender for that U.S. belt. And during the entire competition, the United States champion comes out and scouts the talent. So at the end of the match, they see who wins, and then you start doing vignettes where the actual champ is talking about you can interview them, is talking about the competitors and kind of what his strategy is for defeating each person and how he's gonna train for this, and then give them some shine, let them get promos out, do those produced promos like Ronda had and Shinsuke had, leading up to the next title match would be, whatever 2 pay-per-views away. Put them in the ring. They have some build. They have a story where they're like, this is the challenger and this is the champ. See who wins. Hopefully the champ goes over and you put some shine on it. What do you think of my idea for the US title? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I appreciate you, and don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.